So today I'd like to share with you a quote from Kierkegaard. And let me tell you, I bet you don't know about it. I bet your professor doesn't either. Alright, so this is from the Penguins Classic. Okay, yeah, laugh at me, but this is how you'll find it. Page 545. And it is in his papers and journals. I have it pulled up here for you. Let's go from the beginning. Suffering. About myself. Suffering is the qualitative expression of heterogeneity with this world. In this heterogeneity, suffering is the expression. Rests the relationship to the eternal. Eternity's consciousness. Where there is no suffering, there is no eternity's consciousness either. And where there is eternity's consciousness, there too is suffering. It is in suffering that God keeps a person wakeful, heterogeneous with this world, for eternity. And here we go. In the Old Testament, it was like this. Suffering. The trial lasts some years, and then, even in this life and this world, one attains that satisfaction, which is homogeneity with this worldly life. God tests Abraham, makes as if to want to have him sacrifice Isaac. But then the test is over. Abraham gets Isaac back and his joy in this life. Therefore, not even Abraham exhibits eternity's consciousness, for the suffering does not last to the end. Christianity is suffering to the end. It is eternity's consciousness. For my part, I have been given the opportunity to be aware of this. From my early years, I have groaned under an original heterogeneity with this existence. Oh, my heater. Yet for me, the pain has also signified that in another sense I had been granted more than usual. Okay. This, the pain of my original heterogeneity, was doubly sharpened when I came to bear sympathetically the suffering of another by having made a young girl unhappy. And there he's talking about Regine, obviously. So, that's the meat and potatoes, what I just shared. Here, that just lit a fire under me, because here Kierkegaard is describing the difference between Judaism and Christianity. He believes that Judaism is more worldly than Christianity. So you start to get suspicious, right? Because he wrote this book, Fear and Trembling, about Abraham, and you have Johannes de Silentio, the author, right? Who praises Abraham for his ability to receive Isaac back with joy, right? And the whole time he Kierkegaard, or the writer rather, Johannes de Silentio, admonishes the everyday person for not being able to get sick of this life and give it up and be able to infinitely resign oneself. He's not. In other words, Johannes has it backwards, and that's how Kierkegaard tricks the reader. My cat's making a noise. You see, he makes a big deal out of the happy part, the joy of receiving Isaac, of being done with the trial, being done with suffering. And that's how he tricks you, by making the first step of faith, which is the giving up of the world, being something easy, something that you, oh yeah, you did that, shit, yeah, that's easy. That's all about trying to get happy again, and being able to receive back this world after being sort of depressed by its by what you've received from it, in terms of like pleasure and satisfaction, and to finally be able to. You see, the hardest part is the suffering. It's the days leading up to Isaac's suffering, and Abraham's suffering, because I guess Isaac didn't really know. In there lies a person's greatness, according to Kierkegaard. The greatness of Abraham's story is the suffering. And it is the greatness that Christ has the whole time, suffering. And that's why God says, I will provide the ram, right? Puts off, says, you know what? It's okay to be worldly for a time. But soon there will come a time where the ideal is to actually give up the world completely, which is something that Johannes de Silentio tricks the reader into accepting in the beginning as something they've already done, and Kierkegaard sneaks up from behind and hints at the fact that the greatness is the suffering. I don't know if that's helpful for anyone. Honestly. I feel like I just want to share this with someone like me who's been reading Kierkegaard and is obsessed with the guy and wants some clarity as to what he believes Christianity is. And Christianity is suffering to the end. In another part of his journals, or actually in the moment, in his late writings, he says Christianity is pessimism. With regards to the world, right? Because the world is something to be given up. To be friends with the world is to be at enmity with God, right? Isaac, legacy, represents worldly legacy. Being willing to give up one's worldly legacy. This is what Christ brings to the table. And this is the difference Kierkegaard believes between the old and the new. That now, what is required is to give up the world entirely. And this is why I believe Kierkegaard actually advocates, I believe, in his ultimate thesis, what it leads to is absolutely antinatalism. It's extremely dark, like, as in the sense that it's a sin to have children. I think that's where he goes. That that's the sin, to just pretend like this life is just all goody goody and everyone's gonna be saved. If you just pop out more kids, you pop out more saved babies, instead of creating more trauma and letting the suffering continue. Anyway, he's a very dark writer. I'm not, I just, he hides this stuff intentionally from everybody. And if anyone out there is lost about it, there you have it.